Let's do it.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson tonight. For
Well, welcome to you, Tucker. So glad to see you.
the past week, all of us have seen chaos engulf our beloved country.
Yeah, it's pretty
the
awesome,
violence
right?
and the destruction have been so overwhelming, so shocking and awful and vivid on the screen, that it's been hard to think clearly about what's going on. Most of us haven't been able to step back far enough to ask even the
Luckily, we got you here, right, Tucker? We got you. You're the guy who could step back far enough to look at the big picture. See all the gears a-turning. Ah, yes. Yes, I see what's really going on here. Most of you can't possibly obtain my Tucker Carlson-esque level of objectivity in assessing the events of the past few days. I alone can see the truth.
obvious questions. The most obvious, of course, is what is this really about?
Police brutality?
What do the mobs want?
Police reform?
Well, the thugs looting the Apple store can't answer that question. They have no idea. They just want free iPads. But what about Apple itself and the rest of corporate America, which is enthusiastically supporting the rioters? What about members of
I don't really feel like there's this is a weird talking point I've seen over and over and over again today as I watch these videos. Like, have any of these companies explicitly said we support the rioters? I think they support the peaceful protesters. I think they support the people who are demonstrating in the streets, holding signs and shit. I don't think that too many of them, if any, have expressly supported rioters and looters. You know? So I don't really get this fucking line of thought. I understand that the conservatives have a tendency to lump the rioters and looters in with the protesters. And, I happen to think that both methods are valid, personally, but I'm not a corporation. I haven't seen any corporation say we support the rioters and looters. I haven't seen any of them even imply that they support the rioters and looters. I've seen some say that they are sympathetic to the frustrations of those people. But once again, this is just empty fucking, virtue signaling to a movement that they don't genuinely give a shit about. And everyone on the left already recognizes that. It's really strange that people on the right don't seem to recognize that this is just corporate virtue signaling and nothing more. But even then, I've not seen any of them virtue signal in such a way as to indicate that they support rioting and looting, even on a fake level.
of Congress, the media figures, the celebrities, the tech titans, all of whom are cheering this on. What do they want out of it? Well, they haven't said. That's the central mystery. Now suddenly it is obvious. It should have been obvious the first day.
Okay.
This is about Donald Trump.
Once again, Black Lives Matter got its start in the Obama administration. I think it might have actually existed before the Obama administration, but it became a household name during the Obama administration, during those protests. So I don't really get this idea that, this is about Trump. But let's hear the reasoning.
Of course it is. We just couldn't see it. For normal people, Donald Trump is a president. You may like him, you may not like him, but either way, there will be another president at some point, and we will move on, as we always have.
Okay. But
for Donald Trump's enemies, there is nothing else. Everything is about Trump.
I mean, are you really going to go down this path? Because, there are still, to this day, even though Obama is not president anymore, there are still people who think Obama is constantly pulling the strings behind the scenes, manipulating events, and, controlling the quote-unquote deep state and shit. So, I watched conservative commentators like Rick Wiles say that Obama was going to, raise up a black and Latino army to go and like kill the white men and steal their women and shit. Like, you know, like things got pretty fucking crazy with people oppositional to Obama. So I don't think this is anything like new. I don't think that corporate America is supporting rioters and looters, period. But even if they were, I don't think it's because they have some Machiavellian scheme to oust Trump. Why would they even want to oust Trump? Trump lowered their taxes. Trump is deregulating their industries. Trump is like the best friend they could possibly have. So I don't really see why any of them would be doing that in the first place. But whatever.
Everything. Donald Trump
it's Tucker
defines
Carlson.
their
I don't expect it to make
careers,
sense.
Their marriages. Donald Trump affects how they raise their children. Trump occupies the very center of their lives.
What? What are you talking about, Tucker? You're fucking insane, aren't you? I mean, like, I can see it in your eyes now that I'm really looking for it. Yeah, I mean, like, these are the eyes of a madman. These are the words of a madman. There is no one other than Republicans for whom Trump occupies that central of a role in their day-to-day lives.
As long as Donald Trump remains in the White House, they feel powerless and diminished and panicked. They cannot be happy. In everything they do, their overriding goal is to remove Donald Trump from office. And that's exactly what they're trying to do now. That's what these riots are about. The most privileged in our society are using the most desperate in our society to seize power from everyone else. Got that? That's the nub of it. The most privileged are using the most desperate to seize power from the rest of us. They are not seeking racial justice. If they were seeking racial justice, they wouldn't be denouncing their fellow Americans for their race, which they are. It has nothing to do with it. What they are seeking is total control of the country. And it goes without saying that none of this has anything to do with George Floyd. Shame on those who pretended that it did, those who fell for the lie, and those who knew better but played along because they are cowards. There are many of those. You know who they are. And someday we will look back on all of them with contempt.
Maybe you guys will. This is a novel. This is a fantasy. This is a movie script. This has nothing to do with reality. None of that stuff that Tucker Carlson just said is supported by anything, anywhere.
Meanwhile, the many promoters of this chaos remain clear-eyed. They are not lying to themselves. They never do. They know exactly what's going on, and they know what they hope to achieve by it. With every night of rioting, they grow bolder. Now they are openly defending violence on television.
Okay, let's see it.
People are worried about the protesters and the looters. And it's just people who are frustrated.
They are frustrated, and they are angry, and they are out there, and they're upset. You shouldn't be taking televisions, but I can't tell people how to react to this.
I'm proud of the protests, and I think it's part of the tradition of New York. The violence is bad, reprehensible, should be condemned, but it is not the overwhelming picture in New York.
So none of those people, you might notice, if you're actually paying attention, not one of those people said they support the rioting and the looting. All of them, like the first guy who was clearly very emotional, and I don't even know who that was, but the first guy who was clearly very emotional just said that he understands where they're coming from. He understands their frustration. Understanding someone's frustration is not the same as endorsing their actions. Don Lemon basically said the same, and Chuck Schumer outright condemned the looters and fucking rioters, but once again said that he understands the frustration they feel. So Tucker Carlson is trying to conflate saying, I understand their frustration with I support this, which is not the same thing, never has been the same thing, never will be the same thing.
Destroying property which can be replaced is not violence.
Too many see the protests as the problem. Please, show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
You're crushed by this. You can't.
None of those guys said what Tucker Carlson is saying they said. The destruction of property is not violence. It's property crime. We do have separate distinctions for those two things. Violence is harm against a person, right? So the closest one that any of them came was, let's see, this guy. What's this dude's name?
You're crushed by this.
I forget who that dude is. But yeah, he probably came the closest to saying something that endorsed them. But I noticed it's a very short clip, and we really don't get to see the full context. So I'd be very interested to see what the remarks surrounding that statement were. But yeah, that's about it.
You can't believe it's happening to your country. But for the people you...
I mean, this Tucker Carlson is on here saying that there is like a full-throated defense by the... I mean, like, it started off with corporations. Let's remember that. He said that, like, the corporations of America are defending, or not defending, but, like, endorsing rioting and looting. He didn't show any sort of, like, corporate statement. He didn't show, like, this is what Apple said. This is what Amazon said. He showed a bunch of news personalities and interviewees on the news who said that they understood the protesters' frustrations, which is not even close to being the same fucking thing, dude. It's just not.
You just saw, the real problem is that the rioting in some rare places is being stopped by police. And their aim is to fix that. They would like to eliminate all law enforcement for good. Today, Democrats in Dallas took down the statue of a Texas Ranger from the terminal at Love Field. It had stood in the airport for more than 50 years. But Texas Rangers are cops, and cops must be removed even when they're made of bronze. Meanwhile, the Lego toy company has ceased...
All right, so I would like to look more into this. I'd like to see why this guy was removed. Let's hold on. I'm willing to bet that this guy is probably not... There's probably some fucking other fucking mitigating factor besides just he's a cop.
Today, Democrats in Dallas took down the statue of a Texas Ranger from the terminal at...
All right, so let's figure out what's going on here. Dallas, Texas Ranger Statue Airport. All right. Was it just because he's a Texas Ranger? A statue of a Texas Ranger inside Dallas Love Field Airport was removed Thursday due to an excerpt from an upcoming book, officials said. Officials said the One Riot, One Ranger statue, which was donated to the city in 1963, is a depiction of a Texas Ranger who will be mentioned in a forthcoming book. A new book on the Rangers' cult of glory offered chilling details about dark chapters of the Rangers' history. The book, by former Pulitzer Prize finalist Doug J. Swanson, a longtime reporter for the Dallas Morning News, who is now on the University of Pittsburgh faculty, said the statue depicts Captain Jay Banks. The captain was in charge of a Ranger contingent dispatched in 1957 by then-Governor Alan Shivers, or maybe it's Shivers, to keep black students from enrolling in Mansfield High School at Texarkana Community College, despite court rulings that should have prevented Shivers from doing so. Swanson told his former newspaper that Banks became sort of the face of that because he's there's a famous picture of him leaning against a tree in front of Mansfield High School while a black figure hangs in effigy above the school, with Banks making no effort to take it down. And Banks sided with the mobs who were there to keep the black kids out, so he was the face of that and of a statue that welcomes people to Dallas. So this guy was not... The statue of this guy was not removed because he was a cop, because he was a Texas Ranger and all law enforcement is bad. He was removed because he enforced segregation even in defiance of a court order. So you can't even say he was upholding the law. He was going outside of the law to enforce segregation. So yeah, this guy should not have a statue in the fucking airport. Kind of interesting how Tucker Carlson left those facts out, don't you think? That might have been slightly pertinent.
Love Field. It had stood in the airport for more than 50 years. But Texas Rangers are cops, and cops must be removed even when they're made of bronze.
So you think that an airport frequented by people of all races should have a statue of a guy who defied court orders in order to enforce segregation at a community college, and who stood by a mock lynching with approval. Like, you really get, that's the hill we're gonna die on? Okay, cool.
Meanwhile, the Lego toy company has ceased marketing sets that contain plastic police officers. Apparently they're too dangerous for our children, and so on. So much of this going on right now.
Okay.
If it all seems like yet another episode of this.
So, by the way, defund the police is not the same thing as abolishing the police. Defunding the police is basically saying, it's basically maybe the phrasing should be changed. I don't know. I mean, it's already caught on, so fuck that. But what it really means is demilitarize the police. And hey, why are the police tasked with all these, like, stop active patrols on the city streets, reserve the police for, hey, I would like to report a murder. I would like to report a rape. I would like to report a violent crime in progress. And all that other stuff, like health and wellness checks and all that stuff, send like a social worker or someone else. And instead of investing massive money in a militarized police force, invest some of that money into the community and invest some of that money into the underlying causes of crime, so that we can actually have genuine safety and prevention, instead of just a bunch of armed thugs roaming the streets looking for kids smoking a fucking joint on the stoop that they can fucking, bludgeon and fucking, incarcerate. So this idea that the defund the police is synonymous with abolish the police and just let anarchy reign, it's not true.
The silly and fleeting hysteria that sometimes grips our culture out of nowhere, usually in lulls in the news cycle. You should know that it's not that. This is entirely real.
People are just bored. People are just bored, man. Oh, well, he said it's not that, but whatever.
It is being pushed by serious people, and they are deadly serious about it. Cool. Last night, for example, Brian Fallon, who was the press secretary of the Hillary Clinton for President campaign in the last election cycle, tweeted, quote, defund the police.
Good. Congresswoman
Rashida Tlaib agrees. Expect more members of Congress to agree soon. In some places, they're not talking, they're acting. Steve Fletcher represents the 3rd Ward in Minneapolis. He's on the city council there. By this week,
looks kind of like Paul Giamatti.
The city had been completely scorched by riots. At least 66 businesses were utterly destroyed by fire. 300 more had been vandalized or looted. Fletcher didn't even mention that. Instead, he attacked the city's police department for trying to contain the violence. Quote, several of us on the council are working on finding out what it would take to disband the Minneapolis Police Department, end quote. You'd think people in the city...
Wait, so we're not... It wasn't end quote. Wait, you can't say end quote when the quote goes on, dude. End quote. Disband the Minneapolis Police Department, end quote. No. The rest of the quote is, and start fresh with a community-oriented, nonviolent public safety and outreach capacity. So the quote does not end where you say it ends. If you're going to do that, at least black it out or something like, and then he said nothing else. He just said, disband the police. Nothing. That's all he said. That's the solution. Just get rid of the police. No, he wants to replace the police with something different. He wants to try a different approach because he feels like this approach isn't working. And you know what? He's fucking right. So, yeah.
Out what it would take to disband the Minneapolis Police Department, end quote. You'd think people in the city would be shocked by that, but at least on the city council, everyone else nodded their approval. In the 9th Ward, Councilwoman Alondra Cano tweeted this yesterday, quote, the Minneapolis Police Department is not reformable. Change is coming. According to City Councilman Fletcher, all 9 members of the City Council are now considering getting rid of the Minneapolis Police.
There's actually 12 members of the City Council, but 9 of them did vote to disband the police force.
Department. Hard to believe, but it's not just there. In the city of Los Angeles, Mayor Eric Garcetti looks out across the worst rioting in the nation's 2nd largest city in a generation, in almost 30 years. His conclusion? We need far fewer police.
Yeah. That's the rational conclusion that any intelligent human being would come to, especially if they'd watched as many videos of the police attacking nonviolent protesters as most of us have.
It could have been better if they hadn't been there. Garcetti has announced he's going to cut funding for law enforcement.
I want you to know we will not be increasing our police budget. How can we at this moment? Our city, through our city administrative officer, identified $250 million in cuts so we could invest in jobs, in health, in education, and in healing. And that.
See, this is conservatives 101 for you, man. So someone says like, hey, let's invest in like the actual infrastructure and like health and human services stuff. And then, you know, maybe we can prevent stuff like this from happening in the future. And Tucker Carlson's like, no, just let it happen. But when it does, have more cops to crush it. We need more and more militarized and powerful cops to crush any hint of dissent in the populace. And then these people claim they're like these libertarians that love freedom. So ironic. So stupid.
Those dollars need to be focused on our black community here in Los Angeles.
So let's take a look at the fucking police funding. Police city budget LA. See if we can get a fucking breakdown. City finance and budget. Maybe we can find it there. Let's see. Police. Proposed budget for 2020. 2021. Come on, load, bitch. Police. The police department in Los Angeles, 2020 budget. Salaries general, $235,990,563. Salaries sworn, $1.2 billion. Salaries as needed, $4.3 million. So basically, overall for salaries, $1.7 billion. Other expenses, $97 million. Equipment, let's see. What's the equipment cost? $10 million? $10,902,721. The overall police budget of Los Angeles for 2020 to 2021. I don't know if this is after the cuts or before the cuts, is 1.85. So $857,330,549. Okay. That's the police budget for Los Angeles. Let's go back. Let's compare it to like something else in the city. I need to go back to the fucking... How do I get back to the fucking beginning of this damn budget report? I'll just go back. Let's go back to the budget. Proposed budget, yep. So that's the police budget. Let's see what other fucking programs I got here. Departmental budgets, animal services, buildings and safety, cannabis regulation, city administration officer, civil and human rights commission. Let's see what their budget's like. $417,000 total. Civil and Human Rights Commission, 417,000. Police department, 1.8 billion. Convention and tourism development, 1.6 million. Cultural affairs, 1 million. I'm sorry, it's a little bit more than that. 22 million. I mean, like, does it seem like maybe the police budget is, like, insanely high? Police budgets by city. Let's take a look at that. How much do U.S. cities spend every year on policing? This is an infographic. I'll go ahead and put it on the screen. New York City, $4.8 billion. Los Angeles, $1.49 billion. But they were going to raise that to 1.8, but I think now they're going to cut it. Chicago, 1.4. Houston, a little shy of $1 billion, about 850 million. Baltimore, 480 million. Detroit, 310 million. Oakland, 242 million. Atlanta, 218 million. Minneapolis, 1.63 million. Orlando, 1.53 million. And this shows the percentage of general fund expenditure. Los Angeles is 25% of the budget. 39% in Chicago, 35% in Houston, 25% in Baltimore, 30% in Detroit, 41% in Oakland, 29% in Atlanta, 35% in Minneapolis, 32% in Orlando. It's fucking crazy. So much of our resources are going to thugs, state-sanctioned thugs that have a few valid purposes, but also fucking have a bunch of shit they do that is not in the public interest. It's just not. There is no public interest in police going around, rolling up on somebody and being like, you got a joint, you're going to jail. We found a crack rock on you, you're going to jail. You were loitering, you're going to jail. You know what I mean? It's just fucking stupid. You're acting suspicious. Your tail lights out. Like, whatever. Like, that shit doesn't do us any good. It certainly doesn't do us any good to the tune of that much money. Certainly didn't do George Floyd any good. Certainly didn't do Eric Garner any good. Certainly didn't do Breonna Taylor any good. Why are we wasting this money? Like, we just heard this mayor say they're going to cut money from the police budget and put it into put it into fucking health and human services and other fucking vital functions of society. Good. That's 100% good. Tucker Carlson's about to act like it's insane.
Los Angeles, as well as communities of color and women and people who have been left behind for too long. And will this involve cuts? Yes, of course, to every department, including the police department.
Gotcha.
When Democrats across the country start saying the same thing at the same time, you can be certain there's a reason for it.
Republicans have been saying the same thing for, I don't even know how long, like 200 years. Not that long, but at least 50.
And in this case, they clearly mean it. According to the president of the LA Police Commission, city officials may cut $150 million from the LAPD. That would be more than 10% of the entire police budget.
So what? Who cares? Aren't you supposed to be a conservative? Aren't you supposed to want government to cut fucking budgets down? And also, didn't you start this off by talking about how defund the police meant we were that, like, Democrats are trying to abolish police? And already you're fucking talking about, oh, they're trying to cut the budget by fucking 10%. The budget's already over $1 billion fucking dollars, dude. You really need that many cops? How many fucking thugs do you need patrolling the streets? Fucking cracking down on people for smoking J's and shit. Hell, in California, they can't even do that. People are allowed to smoke weed there. Fuck it. You don't need that many cops. You just don't.
In the wake of rioting, in New York, 48...
Rioting that was caused by police excess, dude. Oh, right. That's a lie. It was really the corporations that just want to get rid of Trump.
Separate Democratic candidates, and we're including in that the Manhattan District Attorney, signed a letter demanding a $1 billion cut to the budget of the NYPD. Why are they doing this? There are reasons, not the ones they tell you. They tell you it's about racism. They tell you that cops are racist and must be reined in. It's
not even just about racism. I mean, that's a factor. But really, it's about the institution of policing in America being inherently fucking violent and unnecessary. Like, granted, are there instances where you do need police? Yeah. You need them to deal with serious crimes. Murder, rape, shit like that. You don't need police to do fucking like a welfare check on somebody. You don't need police to send in fucking, a giant SWAT team because, there's a rumor that someone's selling fucking, drugs out their back porch. You don't need that. That's not beneficial to society. It's just not.
Americans don't agree with that. That's not the experience they have. In fact, police departments are one of the most trusted institutions in the country.
Okay. So, that's not the experience of most Americans. All right, well, hold on. So here's what Black Americans have to say. 6 in 10 Black Americans say police unfairly stop them or a relative. Okay. We also know that black people are disproportionately searched, even if the reasons for them being pulled over were the same. We also know that searches of black people's vehicles typically do not, they actually, there's a lower success rate for searches of black people's vehicles. Success rate meaning like we found something. There's a lower success rate for searching black people's vehicles than there are searching white people's vehicles, even if it's under similar circumstances. So let's see, what else can we find here? I'm trying to figure out if we can get a fucking sense of like, let's see, this is a Gallup poll from 2019. Maybe I can find that poll. Confidence among Americans' institutions. So let's look at this very poll. Confidence in institutions 2019. Is this the one? I think I found the poll he's citing. Yeah, 2019. That's the year I want to look at it. Supreme Court. Can we find the one on police? Big business, public schools, newspapers, military, presidency, medical system, banks, television, police. Okay. I wonder if we can find this broken down by race? Did they do that? All right, hold on. Sorry, I'm trying to be thorough here. If I put this out as a video, this part will probably be cut out. Is this from 2019? 2016. Okay. Military, police, gotcha. I really want to see a breakdown by race, because I have a sneaking suspicion that confidence in police among black people is probably a little lower. Okay, here we go. Only 1/3 of African Americans say they have confidence in the police. Interesting. This is from 2018. See if I can find the exact stat here. A Pew poll from 2017 found that while 60% of Americans said that the deaths of black Americans at the hands of law enforcement represented broader problems between police and black citizens, 31% of police officers say the same. So 60% of all Americans say that there's problems with the police in terms of how they treat minorities. But what I'm trying to figure out is the level of black confidence in the police. Now, this article, it begins with the headline. It says only 1/3 of African Americans say they have confidence in the police. So that means 2/3 do not have confidence in the police. So that's much lower than 53%. Which, by the way, 53% on its own is not a very impressive number. I mean, like, 36% of Americans have confidence in religion. Religious institutions, I should say. But religious institutions don't have the right to fucking break your door down and shoot you in the head, Banks, they don't have the right to do that. They might send the police to do that. Public schools can't do that. Congress, I guess, can do that, but no one likes Congress. Police, 53%, probably not great. That's probably not a great number when these are the guys who are allowed to use violence against you. And, he talks about, Americans don't have distrust of the police. Well, let's talk about the relevant group here, right? This is all about, do police treat black people unfairly? So don't you think it might be somewhat pertinent to bring up that 2/3 of black people do not have confidence in the police? Maybe that would be pertinent to bring up. Maybe that'd be something that, has some bearing on this. Maybe that kind of shows that it's not just like a media constructed narrative. Kind of like the media constructive narrative you're spewing on here. Very dishonestly, I might add.
According to Gallup polling last year, 53% of Americans said they had a great deal or quite a lot of confidence in the police. That was far more confidence than they had in almost any other institution. Banks, religious leaders, the healthcare system, television news, public schools, corporate America, newspapers, name one. All of those were stuck below 40%. How many Americans trusted?
Most of those can't fucking shoot you in the head. Most of those can't kneel on your neck for 9 minutes until you suffocate. So I don't really care. And also the charge here is that police brutality disproportionately affects the black community, and the black community does not have 53% confidence in the police. They have 33% confidence in the police. So try again.
Congress, 11%. And in fact, most African Americans still support the police. A 2016 Pew poll found that 55% of African...
Well, that's cherry-picked as fuck. All right, so I guess he does address it. Pew poll from 2016. Let's take a look. Pew poll 2016... I just found one that showed that only 33% support the police or have confidence in the police. But, there's obviously different polls, so let's take a look. Pew poll 2016, police, black people. Race and policing in America, Pew Research. This might be it. More than 8 in 10 black adults say police treated them less fairly than whites. Okay, so this is maybe the same. I think we'll take a look. Hold on. Is this maybe the same poll? Is this from 2016? No, this is from 2020. Okay, well, this is more recent numbers, so. And this is also from Pew Research. More than 8 in 10 black adults say blacks are treated less fairly than whites by police. 8 in 10, so 80% basically. Actually, 84. Black adults are about 5 times as likely as whites to say they've been unfairly stopped by police because of their race or ethnicity. 44% versus 9%. White Democrats and white Republicans have vastly different views on how black people are treated by police in the wider justice system. I think we've already seen that borne out today. Nearly 2/3 of black adults, 65%, say they've been in situations where people acted as if they were suspicious of them because of their race or ethnicity, while only 1/4 of white adults say it's happened to them. Doesn't really have anything to do with policing, but whatever. Black Americans are far less likely... Wait, did it have something to do with policing? Okay. I don't really see anything about police on that one. Black Americans are far less likely than whites to give police high marks for the way they do their jobs. In a 2016 survey, only about 1/3 of black adults said that police in their communities did an excellent or good job in using the right amount of force, 33% compared to 75% of whites, treating racial and ethnic groups equally, 35 versus 75%, and holding officers accountable for misconduct. So here's how they're rated between blacks and whites. Protecting people from a crime, 78% of whites say they're good, 48% of blacks say they're good. Using the right amount of force for each situation, 75% of white people say yep, 33% of black people say yep. So most black people say nope. Treating racial and ethnic groups equally, 75% of white people are like, no problem. 35% of the actual racial minority says no. Or actually, 35% of them say yes. The rest say Holding officers accountable when misconduct occurs, 70% of white people say that's fine. Police do a great job. 31% of black people say that, which means the vast majority say no, they don't do that. In the past, police officers and the general public have tended to view fatal encounters between black people and police very differently. Most white Latino officers say fatal encounters between blacks and police are isolated incidents. The majority of black officers disagree. Around 2/3 of police officers, 68%, said in 2016 that the demonstrations over the deaths of black people during encounters with law enforcement were motivated to a great extent by anti-police bias. Only 10% said in a separate question that protesters were primarily motivated by a genuine desire to hold police accountable for their actions. White police officers and their black colleagues have starkly different views on fundamental questions regarding the situation of blacks in American society. For example, nearly all white officers, 92%, but only 29% of their black colleagues said the U.S. had made the changes needed to assure equal rights for blacks. A majority of police officers said in 2016 that relations between police and their departments and black people in their community they serve were excellent or good. Okay. An overwhelming majority of police officers, 86%, said in 2016 that the high-profile fatal encounters between black people and police officers had made their jobs harder. Sizable majorities also said such incidents had made their colleagues more worried about safety, heightened tensions between police and blacks, and left many officers reluctant to use force when appropriate. Yeah, right. Or to question people who seem suspicious. Yeah, you shouldn't. You can't. I don't fucking give a shit who you think seems suspicious. Unless you've been called to an actual crime in progress, I don't care about you looking at someone and being like, this seems like a suspicious character. Fuck you. All right, so I don't know where you got this statistic, but in my attempt to find it, I just found a bunch of statistics that fucking counteract what you're trying to say.
African Americans had confidence in the police within their own communities. In other words, cops they actually knew and dealt with. They had confidence.
Wait.
A study by the Bureau.
So wait, you're saying that they had confidence in specific police in their communities? Okay.
Of Justice statistics from 2011 found that among those who called the police for help, more than 90% of African Americans felt the police behaved properly.
Right, because people calling the police for help and the police responding is usually not the issue. The issue is active policing. The issue is police out there on patrol looking for something to do, looking for some way to justify their existence. There's nothing, yeah, people who call the police and get help, of course they approve of the fucking police. Because that's the only actual valid function of the fucking police. And that's about as many police, like, however, like, when we have enough police to handle the calls to the police, that's when we have enough police. Beyond that, it's just a bunch of bullshit. It's just fucking a police state.
So what would happen if we got rid of the police, of all law enforcement? How would Americans feel?
Well, considering that you haven't even remotely begun to make the case that anyone's trying to do that, who cares? It's a moot point. It's a question based on a completely false premise. So who gives a shit is the answer. No one's trying to do that.
if they actually defunded the police? Well, terrified, mostly. That's how we would feel. Things would fall apart instantly. It would take hours. Don't believe it? Spend an afternoon in a place with no law enforcement and see what you think. Talk to anyone who was in Baghdad at the height of the Iraq War. Ask anyone who stayed...
What, there was salt? Oh, shit. I fucking...
in New Orleans for Katrina. Talk to anyone who was in Baghdad at the height of the Iraq War.
Right. There was soldiers there.
Ask anyone who stayed in New Orleans for Katrina. Their memories will be fresh.
Oh, okay. You want to know about New Orleans during Katrina? Here, I'll tell you about New Orleans during Katrina. Have you ever heard, Tucker, of the Danziger Bridge shooting? Here, I'll learn you something about New Orleans after Katrina. The Danziger Bridge shootings were murders that took place on September 4th, 2005 at the Danziger Bridge in New Orleans, Louisiana. 6 days after Hurricane Katrina struck New Orleans, members of the New Orleans Police Department were allegedly responding to a call of an officer under fire shot and killed. An officer under fire shot and killed 2 civilians, 17-year-old James Brissett and 40-year-old Ronald Madsen. 4 other civilians were wounded. All victims were African-American. None were armed or had committed any crime. Madison, a mentally disabled man, was shot in the back. The NOPD attempted to cover up the murders, falsely reporting that 7 police officers responding to a police dispatch reporting an officer down, and that at least 4 suspects were firing weapons at the officers upon their arrival. Reverend Raymond Brown, the local head of the National Action Network, described the shootings as a racial tragedy. On August 5th, 2011, a federal jury in New Orleans convicted 5 NOPD officers of a myriad of charges related to the cover-up and deprivation of civil rights. An attorney for the Justice Department described the case as the most significant police misconduct prosecution in the U.S. since the Rodney King beating case. However, the convictions were vacated on September 17th, 2013 due to prosecutorial misconduct, and a new trial was ordered. The Justice Department appealed the decision to vacate the convictions, but a federal appeals court agreed that a new trial was warranted. However, on April 20th, 2016, the 5 former police officers pled guilty to various charges related to the shooting and in return received reduced sentences ranging from 3 to 12 years. 3 of the officers are white and 2 are African American. So yeah, there's a little fucking fun story about Katrina and what the police were up to then. So fuck you, Tucker.
They'll never forget what they saw.
Right.
Here's the key.
I was in New Orleans in Katrina. I wasn't in New Orleans city proper, actually. I knew people who were. My friend Galen was. Yeah, was there an atmosphere of lawlessness? Yeah, there was also a natural disaster. And no one, once again, is talking about completely dissolving all police and replacing it with nothing. A few cities are talking about cutting the police budgets down and investing more in their communities, which is a fucking good idea, you stupid fuck. And the city of Minneapolis is talking about dissolving their police department and replacing it with some form of community policing, and we don't have the details on that yet. But no one's talking about, like, let's just get rid of the very concept of law enforcement. So this is a false premise, and you're arguing against a complete fucking straw man, and you're a fucking twat.
Police does not mean eliminating authority. There is always authority. There are no vacuums in nature. The only question is whether or not the authority is legitimate, whether or not the authority is accountable, whether or not you can do anything.
Yeah, that is the point, right? The problem is the police are not accountable. So let's make them accountable. And then all these problems would go away. But of course, you don't want the police accountable. You want them to be terrorists that roam the streets looking for people to harass. That's what you support. Fuck you.
If the authority abuses its power. In the absence of law enforcement, the answer is no. It means thugs are in charge.
No, That's what we have with the presence of law enforcement, because that's all they are. They're thugs. They are state-sanctioned, taxpayer-funded thugs.
The most violent people have the most power. They can do whatever they want to.
Right. Once again, we agree, but you're putting it in the wrong direction.
You. That's the reality. Everyone obeys the violent people or they get hurt.
Right. That's the problem with police. They are the violent people that if you don't obey, you get hurt. They're the ones you should fear. Well, not you, because you're a fucking rich white cocksucker.
The mob literally rules. That probably sounds like a nightmare to you, because it is.
No.
But the people pushing this idea don't see it as scary because they don't fear the mob, because they control the mob. That's the key.
No one controls the mob. No one controls the mob. That's the problem. You know, right now what you're talking about, see, he's talking about the elites control a mob of violent thugs. I agree, but the elites control a mob of violent thugs called the fucking police, which is the institution you're defending. So you're basically defending the exact thing you claim to not want because you're an idiot. And fuck you. Fuck Tucker Carlson. He's a fucking moron. He always was. He always will be. And let's wrap this whole fucking shebang up. This whole 6-hour shebang up by talking to our beloved chat.